The Himalayas, a land of towering peaks, ancient monasteries, and mysteries that have fascinated humanity for centuries. Among the most intriguing of these mysteries are the creatures said to roam these mountains, the Yetis. But not all Yetis are the same. In fact, folklore and eyewitness accounts suggest that there are actually three distinct types. First, there's the Meh-Teh, the classic Yeti. Known as the Meh-Teh in Tibetan folklore, or Zirin, the snowman in Chinese, this is what most people imagine when they hear the word Yeti. Described as a stocky, ape-like creature with a conical head, the Meh-Teh stands roughly the height of an average man or slightly taller. It has short, coarse, reddish-brown hair, very long arms, and a wide, menacing mouth filled with sharp teeth. But despite its fearsome appearance, the Meh-Teh is considered peaceful, often moving silently through dense Himalayan forests at elevations of 15 to 18,000 feet, leaving behind footprints that have baffled explorers for centuries. Some researchers, like Bernard Heuvelmans, even believe the Meh-Teh is the same as the Rakshi Bombo, a creature long whispered about in Tibetan villages. Next is the Te-Ima, the Little Yeti. Smaller than the Meh-Teh is the Te-Ima, or the Little Yeti, usually just 3 to 4.5 feet tall. It has reddish-gray hair and a sloping, pointed head. Unlike its larger cousins, the Little Yeti prefers warmer, lower mountain valleys of Nepal, Bhutan, Tibet, and Sikkim, where it hunts small animals. Historical accounts, like those published in James Prinsep's 1832 Journal of the Asiatic Society of Bengal, describe travelers spotting these small bipedal creatures in dense forests. One report even likened them to mainland orangutans, though their mysterious, almost human-like behavior has puzzled researchers for nearly 2 centuries. Finally, the Zhu-Teh and the Nyalmo, giants of the Himalayas. At the other extreme, we have the Zhu-Teh, sometimes called the Big Yeti, known to attack yaks by grabbing their horns and twisting their heads. This creature can walk both quadrupedally and bipedally. Some researchers believe it may be a giant ape, while others argue it could be a large unknown species of bear. But even larger and far more terrifying is the Nyalmo. Now what you've all been waiting for, hence the title of the video itself. The Nyalmo, the true giant. The Nyalmo, also known as the Orang Dalam or the Thlo Mung, is said to be a true giant of the Himalayas, roaming the high-altitude pine forest of northern Nepal and south-central Tibet. Eyewitnesses describe them as being anywhere from 13 to 20 feet tall, muscular yet surprisingly skinny with long limbs and a large gorilla-like head, thick black, dark red, or gray fur hair, 4 toes instead of the 5, leaving tracks up to 2 feet long. These creatures are solitary and extremely rare, emerging from the isolated caves only at night. But they are also intelligent, sometimes shaking pine trees to display their strength, both to humans and other Nyalmo. The first alleged encounter dates back to 1895, when 2 telegraph workers vanished in Jalapla, Sikkim. British soldiers searching for them reported shooting a snowman, described as 12 feet tall, with shaggy black hair and backwards toes. Its sheer size made it impossible to bring back for study. In the 1930s, an Indian pilgrim reportedly saw a group of 4 Nyalmos. One of them banged on a hollow tree trunk like a drum, while the others swayed in the rhythm. He described their expressions as filled with strange sadness, something almost human-like. Another report from Assam in 1954 claimed that locals killed and consumed a 10-foot Nyalmo, sending the bones and hair back to the monastery, although the whereabouts are unknown to this day. In Tibetan folklore, the Nyalmo is the largest of the 3 Yetis, as I talked about earlier, reaching up to 20 feet in height, known for immense strength, aggression, and a strong garlic-like odor. They may live in small matriarchal groups, feeding on yaks, mountain sheep, and occasionally humans. Some legends even suggest these giants use rudimentary tools and have basic culture, occasionally abducting humans to act as tutors. They are truly the apex legends of the high Himalayas. Now, what do I think of all this? What do I think of these Nyalmo? Do I believe they exist, or at least existed at one point or another? Sure. And this kind of goes back to the book I had reviewed and given a retrospect to, if you've seen my first video, talking about true giants. Is Gigantopithecus still alive? And I believe if we go and kind of use that logic of Gigantopithecus and it coming from Asia, I would say that the Nyalmo is a giant. It is a Gigantopithecus, but some sort of offshoot, like a cousin. And they could be bigger than the regular one. And, if we accept that Bigfoot came from a Gigantopithecus and then a Yeti could also come from it as well, I suppose that would make sense. The Bering Land Bridge, for example, could have been a way that those two separated and went on to different continents, which would explain colorization change of their fur, hair, their habits. Some are more aggressive than others. I believe that happened with bears and every other type of animal that you could find globally. I believe at some point the offshoots sort of did their own thing and went on to do something else, and then that's how you get to modern day, where you have the Yetis and the Bigfoot, and you have other creatures similar to other continents and region. It's all regional based. So we went from that logic. It makes sense. Now, are they still alive? You would have to ask if like Yetis and Bigfoot are still alive, or are these things long gone? Have they been long gone since the Patterson-Gimlin film, or like the early Yeti accounts? Were those some of the last ones, last sightings, last real eyewitness accounts? And if so, what are people seeing nowadays? Remnants? Are people hallucinating? Not sure. But if they are still alive, then it's in very small pockets. I believe they use the tunnel systems, the cave systems, those mountains in Tibet or whatever, Nepal. They have cave systems. They have ways for these animals to protect themselves, to survive, to maybe even outlast us. There's a theory that a lot of these giants and these Bigfoot-like creatures, these cryptids, they're sort of, you could say, waiting it out, as in once humans are very few, where we wipe each other out, which is kind of inevitable. Sorry for my cynicism, but if we went by that sort of theory, then I could see that giants and, once again, these creatures, they're waiting it out. They're more logical than we think they are. They have a thinking brain. They're not just animals, but they're something very different. And I believe the Nyalmo is just like any other cryptid that's out there. They're biding their time. And whenever one of us stumbles upon their lair, their territory, well, that's when we get disappeared, the 411 missing person type of a situation kind of happens to us. And that would explain a lot as well with the sightings of giants in general, who nobody has been able to come back with evidence of these things, because they get spotted, they get sniffed out, they get eaten, they get taken out. It is what it is. Plenty of people get killed by bears. Just if we're using like logic here, right? There's a lot of skeptics saying now none of this stuff exists, but let's say with bears, how many bears do you think have offed humans and then you just never hear about it? As in, the people just disappear, you'll never find the bear that did it, it's just a done deal. Probably happened numerous times, many times throughout history. Especially before recorded history, it happened all the time. So I would not be very surprised if a very highly intelligent ape or humanoid creature was able to kidnap people, kids, adults, whatever. Especially loners. If you're like a loner and you're hiking around, would not be surprised if you could be taken, captured, and then just never see the light of day. Assuming that they take you to eat you and not just to. Obviously, these Nyalmos, as it said earlier, apparently they've taken people as tutors. Like, they see us as intelligent creatures just like they. So maybe there's more to it. And I could connect it all to the hollow earth and all that, but that'd be a video for another day. But anyways, in conclusion, from the small, elusive little Yeti that we talked about to the stocky Meh-Teh, and finally this terrifying Nyalmo, Himalayas, in fact, may be hiding secrets that science has yet to uncover, or if ever? Are these simply myths passed down for generations, or could giant intelligent apes really wander the remote peaks of the world's tallest mountains? Wow, one thing is for certain. The mountains have stories that are older, darker, and much taller than anything most of us can ever truly imagine. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys next time.